Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pie Guy and Brodeur. One voice, two minds. I'm your host, Pie Guy, and before we begin, always remember, you can find the rest of these Pie-tacular episodes and, of course, this one-of-a-kind podcast on YouTube on that one and only Brodeurland YouTube channel, and, of course, Spotify. Now, today on this episode, we're talking about the word self-control. That's right. Can you really have self-control in your life? How does that look like? Well, those are great questions. And to help me, we will be circling back with the one, the only, Brodeur of Brodeurland, Mr. Brodeur. Hey, Pie Guy. Yes, we're going to be talking about self-control. And you know, Pie Guy, there's 5 components of self-control. And the biggest and most important one is that calmness, followed by balance and some other components. So we're really going to dive into self-control. And also, I'm going to share how, I'm not the greatest at self-control at times. I'm weak at times. And this is such an important word because it really is the foundation. It really can become that rock to really mastering and really getting better at all these words of the week that we have been talking about and I've been sharing about throughout all these episodes. So you know what, Pie Guy? I'm ready to dive on in. I'm ready to really dive into this word of self-control, how it looks in your life, and of course, how can you get to that level of really mastering and getting better at self-control in your life? Man, Mr. Brodeur, yes, you have really got me excited. I really want to dive on in and really slice into this word of self-respect. So without further ado, let's dive on in, Mr. Brodeur, and let's start with this. What does it mean to have self-control? How can we have self-control in our life? And why is it important? Yes, great questions, Pie Guy. And to dive into those questions, we first have to look at that Brodeurland definition for self-control. And it goes like this. It's the ability to control your emotions, your impulses, and even your behaviors in order to achieve those goals or that mission or those achievements you're trying to achieve, right? And you see, Pie Guy, self-control is all about managing and controlling our emotions, remaining calm, really slowing down. It is a foundational word, like I mentioned before, because without it, other aspects of our life would just fall apart. You see, self-control requires the use of other words of the week that we've mentioned before, maybe reflection, self-discipline, perseverance, and of course, many of the other ones. And this is a word, Pie Guy, that I'm working on a daily basis. I wish I could say I was perfect with self-control, but I'm not. Believe me, self-control is one of the top words I'm always working on, always trying to improve on. And I feel like I fail at this word more times than not. I just wish I could really push myself. And this is why I really like talking about this word, because it's so important to me. And I feel like we're never going to be perfect, but we can get better and we can try to become our best versions of ourselves, as well as trying to get the self-control under wraps in our life. Oh man, Mr. Brodeur. So it seems like self-control requires a lot of discipline and a lot of focus. I mean, I can really think of times I've lost my temper, got frustrated, or, caved into those, addictions or bad routines in our life. I mean, maybe snacking at night when I know I shouldn't, different aspects of that. Would you say that's what self-control is? Of course, Pie Guy. And you know what? Me too. We lose our tempers. We get frustrated. We even want to get that, evening snack when, it's right time for bed and we know it's not good for us, right? And if we want to dive deeper into this word of self-control and really try to achieve it, we have to look at the 5 Brodeurland components that really make up this word of self-control. And this is what they are. You got calmness, you have balance, determination, confidence, and of course, we can't have a component without the word perseverance right there. Oh man, Mr. Brodeur, there's your word, perseverance. Of course, Pie Guy. But in all honesty, those are your 5 components. Again, balance, calmness, determination, confidence, and of course, that perseverance. It's up to us to really obtain self-control and these 5 components and really master them and use them effectively in our lives. Now, to me, the most important component to all of them is, let me guess, Mr. Brodeur, perseverance. That's your word. You know, Pie Guy, I wish it was, but it actually isn't on this one. What, Mr. Brodeur, not perseverance? Hey, I love me some perseverance, right, in our lives. But calmness is going to be the word, that component that's really going to be important going forward with self-control. All right, Mr. Brodeur, it's not perseverance, but tell us, why is calmness the most important to you when it comes down to self-control? Yeah, Pie Guys. So you see, in life, we can have exciting moments. We can have exciting times. We could be looking forward to a break, a holiday, an event, whatever it is, right? And I know for me, the anticipation for an upcoming event can really get me excited. But it's hard to wait. And at those moments, we can lose self-control and make poor choices, either while we wait or a lot of us, when we get in those moments when we are working off that adrenaline from that excitement, especially when life is going your way and things are happening, hey, sometimes that self-control goes out the window. Sometimes we end up working off that adrenaline, making those poor choices because we're not thinking, we're not slowing down. But we can't let that excitement in those good moments really get to our head. And that's why calmness is really required to keep ourselves in check, to make sure we can really slow down, think through our decisions, think through our choices, and of course, continue to be our true and our best self. You see, calmness is ideal to really grasping self-control in your life. All right, Mr. Brodeur, but let me ask you this. You know, for some people, life isn't grand. Life isn't exciting. It's bumpy. And for some people, they feel like, you know what? Their life may be falling apart. Yeah, Pie Guy, good question and really good input right here. Yeah, even in the rough times, self-control is needed the most. It is hard when we feel down. It is hard when we feel discouraged. Our emotions get in the way, and that can really affect our decision making. That's why being calm, really slowing down, can really help us reflect and allow time to pass so we can think straight. We can make the right decisions. We don't get caught in those moments, right? We can allow that moment to just pass, reflect, and like I said, move forward and make the right decisions rather than act and have those impulses. You don't want that to happen. But here's the deal. No matter what, you still need to be calm. You still need to have that calmness, that peace within yourself. You see, if you have that calmness, then and only then will you be able to focus on having balance in your life. You can be determined to move forward. Tap into that confidence and, of course, have that perseverance to really move forward. And you know what? That confidence piece is also very important during these times, especially when you're going through a rut, when things are not going your way. That confidence can really pull you through because you got to be confident in who you are. And that confidence can make you more determined to say, you know what? I'm going to stand strong and I'm going to persevere forward. And that's why, again, all these components really go together. But that calmness is definitely the rock, the thing that you need to get things started. Again, all the 5 components need to be set in place, but that calmness allows us that time to reflect and to really slow down. It allows us that time to really stop and settle. And you know, to me, allow these waves of life, these distractions in life to really come to an end, come to a stillness, so we can see through the water, so we can see through the chaos and keep moving forward. You know, Pie Guy, this reminds me of a story that I heard once of a monk, and he said, whoa, hang on a second, Mr. Brodeur. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but you said a monk? I've got to hear this story now. Yeah, I did, Pie Guy. So I was watching this documentary about a monk who has been claimed as being the happiest person in the world, right? They did some brain studies and all this stuff, and they just deemed this guy as being the happiest and most peaceful and content guy in the world. And in this documentary, he shared about his calmness and not overreacting. And the story he shares goes like this. A person was walking along a pond when they decided to get their phone out for a picture. In that moment, their keys slipped out of their pocket and fell into the pond. All frightened, all scared of losing their keys, they grabbed a stick and started to stir up the water and splash around to find the keys in the water, right? They were afraid. They were kind of tense. The stress was mounting. They needed the keys, right? And so while they were doing that, the mud started to cloud up the visibility. You couldn't really make out anything, right, at the bottom between the mud, the splashes, the ripples in the water. And that's when the nearby monk came over and told the person, hey, stay calm, wait till the water comes to a still and a peaceful stop. And of course, the guy listened to the monk's like freaking out, like, no, I need my keys. But he said, no, just stay calm and just wait. And he said, instead of stirring up the water, you need to be patient. You got to have self-control and you got to wait. And you know the funny thing is, Pie Guy, before you knew it, the water, the cloudiness, it had stopped. The water was clear. Everything settled down. And right there in front of the person's eyes were their keys. You see, so many times our thoughts, our decisions, our balance in life can be shaken up during a situation, shaken up during frustration, shaken up during those times in our life where, man, things are just not going our way. But if we do not learn to stay calm, think through the moment, things can get a little cloudy. Things can get a little muddy. Things can get a little out of control. And that is why, to me, we have to stay calm. You got to find that peace within us to wait, to have that balanced life and allow the rapids and the waves of life to slow down. You see, the moment that person was able to stand still, relax for a second, allow all the distractions, the muddiness and the cloudiness of the water to just come to a still. That is when clarity comes and he was able to reach up and grab those keys. But I love that story because, again, he was so concerned about stirring up and doing everything instead of taking a moment and really thinking, what should he do? That's why calmness. That's why earlier I said you really got to take in the moments and not allow those emotions to really affect that decision making. Man, Mr. Brodeur, I love that story of the water and the monk. The clarity of the water and the imagery really gets that message across about really being calm. And I think so many times how much I try to stir the pot when really I need to just take a back seat and reflect and stay calm like you're saying. But here's the deal. How can we get to that point of clarity? How can we master self-control? How can we even get to that level, Mr. Brodeur? Well, Pie Guy, it's like what Morgan Freeman, the actor, once said. He said, self-control is strength, but calmness is mastery. Don't allow others to control the direction of your life. Don't allow your emotions to overpower your intelligence. Man, Mr. Brodeur, I feel like Morgan Freeman's quote almost sums up that monk story and everything you've been sharing so far. Yeah, exactly, Pie Guy. And I love how it says self-control is strength. But here's the deal. In order to master self-control, even Morgan Freeman says you have to have that calmness. You got to be calm. That's the mastery. That's the key. And that's, again, why it's the number one, even above perseverance, because you got to find that peace within you. And that's what's going to help you make those good choices, those good decisions in those key moments. You see, you have to have the ability not to allow other people, other things, or words to really rile you up, to get you off and away from becoming that best version of yourself. You have to have that balance in your life. And I'm going to give you an example where I did not have that balance in my life. And that really affected my self-control. Wow, Mr. Brodeur, what example are you going to share with us? So, Pie Guy, the example I'm going to share with you is 4 years out of college, I had an opportunity to be the youth minister and director of religious ed at my church, Our Lady of Perpetual Help. The first year was fun. I had a blast. However, when the second year set in, my wife and I had just had our first son, Oliver, and we never really changed up our priorities. We never really focused on readjusting and trying to balance out with these new changes in our lives. We just said, yep, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. And now we got a kid, right? And with the youth ministry, most of my duties, well, of course, fell on the weekends and Wednesdays, but the weekends is the key part of the story. See, with Oliver then turning 1 in my second year of being a youth minister, and my wife and I being young parents, we were learning that, you know what? We could not keep pushing forward like we were. I mean, talk about a reality check. Talk about a slap in the face right there. And I had to refocus my priorities, find time for my family. I mean, I was getting to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, I got so much on the weekends dealing with the youth ministry, the church, and all this stuff, which is great. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but also another priority now is being a parent. Finding that time for things, I don't know, like the pumpkin patch, the Christmas lights, right? Vacations, or just simply having that time with my family. It was getting to the point that second year where I almost didn't have hardly any weekends off. I was always doing something, whether it was high school youth group, a fundraiser, something at Sunday school, whatever it was. And my wife and I's lack of balance led to me being less calm at home, really bringing that stress home with me and really allowing my self-control to get lost right there. Finding weaknesses in my life, really taking it out sometimes when I got home. It wasn't healthy. And long story short, at the end of the year, my wife and I learned we had to restructure. We had to find balance in our life. And that balance, that calmness, again, are so important to life and really mastering self-control. I learned it the hard way, really suffering through that second year. Sure, people might have not seen it at work because I was really holding it in. But when I got home, talk about just the lack of self-control and learning how can I really turn things around. And this is why I could not miss the opportunity of putting self-control as one of the words of the week. And like Morgan Freeman said in his quote, don't allow those emotions to get you off balance. That is one of those components. And that's one of the components, that balance piece, that I really failed at during that time. And I've gotten better now throughout the years because I understood the importance of making time for my family. Am I perfect? Definitely not. I mean, I still have ways to go, but I still reflect on that moment. I still reflect on that year and what I learned. And here's the deal. You've got to stay straight and true, and you have to stay controlled. You've got to stay in your lane, who you truly are. Don't compromise on who you are, or else you're going to lose that self-control. If you have that self-control, only then can you master all those other words of the week. Like I said earlier, and I kind of previewed at the beginning of the episode, Pie Guy, self-control is the rock. If you want to have self-respect, if you want to be kind, if you want to persevere, if you want to be your true and best self, you got to stay calm in the moments where things are exciting. You have to stay calm in the moments where, you know what? Things are not as easy or clear as you wish them to be. And yes, self-control is strength. But to achieve it, you need to be calm. You have to have that balance. You have to set your priorities straight. And you got to find that time to really pause, to really reflect on yourself, on those situations. It's time to be with your loved ones and make time for the people you encounter every day, and including yourself. Find that balance. Find that peace. That time will help you reflect and be more capable of becoming that best version of yourself. I love it, Mr. Brodeur. Pie-tacular. Having balance in our life and being calm seem to be very important, especially reflecting on that story you just shared about the youth ministry. And here you are again, bringing all these words of the week together and really showcasing and saying, hey, this is how you become that best version of yourself. Allow that self-control to be that rock in our lives. I love it. I really love how you piece this all together and really focus on that balance aspect. Can we really balance our lives and really prioritize what's important in our lives and keep moving forward? Exactly, Pie Guy. And the goal is to be better than I was the day before, the hour before, the minute before, the event before, whatever it is. But you got to be calm during those arguments. You got to be calm during those positive moments. You got to be calm during those frustrations and those stressful times. And you got to keep in control and see what you're made of. Now, Mr. Brodeur, I have to say this though. We are getting to that time where, you know what? We got to wrap things up. So is there anything else you would like to share with us when it comes down to self-control? Well, Pie Guy, to wrap things up, I want to share this quote by John Wooden. And he says this: if you lose self-control, everything will fall. Pie Guy, I love this quote because you know what? It's short, it's sweet, and it's to the point. If you don't have self-control, things are going to fall. The domino effect is going to happen. Your calmness, guess what? Is going to go out the window. The balance, the peace in your life, you know what? It's going to leave you. You're going to be falling flat. And all of a sudden, that perseverance, that willpower, that confidence, that determination is also going to go out the window, you know? And at that point, your life will feel like it's starting to crumble. It's going to start to feel unmanageable. But you can't let that happen. Definitely not. You can't allow the distractions and bad habits you have in life to stop you, to cause you to make decisions you're going to regret. Absolutely not. Don't have those regrets. You've got to stay straight. You've got to stay true. You have to be able to stay strong. Keep working at becoming that best version of yourself. And you have to have that self-control. Let it be your rock. Let it be your strength. Through that calmness, through that perseverance, through that strength that you have inside to really push you through and to make you that best and true version of yourself. Don't allow others to sway you off your true and right self. Definitely not. And you know what, Pie Guy? That is the hardest part for me because there are going to be people in our lives that are jealous of us, that want us to fall, that want us to fail, right? It doesn't make sense. But you know what? We all know they're out there. And those are the times where I really got to fight through, right? That mental game with them and myself. And please, don't allow that to happen to you. Don't allow that domino effect to come and push you down. Definitely not. Don't allow them to push you around and get you off your straight and true path. Please don't. I've dealt with this before many a times throughout my life, and it's not fun. And that's why that confidence piece is so important. Because if you are confident in yourself, if you believe in yourself, then you know what? You are able to hold your head high and keep your eyes focused on that goal in the life that's ahead of you. Believe in yourself. Build that confidence in yourself. Each day is a brand new day. Remind yourself that. It's a day that you can start something new. Start at basic step 1 and see what's going to happen. Because you're somebody. You're capable. You're worthy. You're strong. You matter. It's time to go out there. It's time to believe in yourself. Have that self-control to take control of your life and be determined. Have that confidence to find that balance in your life and that perseverance. That's right, Pie Guy, to see it through. Pie-tacular, Mr. Brodeur. I love it. And you are so right. We got to have that control in our lives, right? We have to find that balance, that calmness, so things don't fall. And we don't have our confidence fade away. Definitely not. I love how you always say you got to believe in yourself. And how you remind us that that's hard, but you have to. You got to keep pushing forward. And you know what, Mr. Brodeur? I'm fired up now. I want to go out there. I want to try to be that better version of myself. Find that balance, that calmness, and really think things through so I can be determined that I can build up that confidence and persevere through. Pie-tacular. And always remember, my friends, stay infinite. Don't put limits on yourself. Expand your horizons. And Mr. Brodeur, if you could finish us off in style, sure thing. So always remember, you all make each day a special day by just you being you. There's no one in the whole world like you except you, but I like you just the way you truly are. It's good that you exist, but here's the deal. You got to go out there. You got to first work on that calmness in your life. Find that balance, build that confidence, get determined, and persevere forward so you can have that self-control and become that best version of yourself. So until next time, Brodeur out. Peace.